When her hand was grabbed, Kyrie screamed loudly. At that very moment, then, cut! A woman's voice rang out loudly and clearly, causing Kyrie's scream to cease. Simultaneously with the shout, the surroundings brightened, the eerie atmosphere became more lively and normal, and all the ghosts began to applaud. Several people appeared alongside Lucelyn, who was patting her dusty clothes. With this change, Kyrie breathed a sigh of relief, smiling as she joined in the applause while remaining seated. She wanted to shout in relief, but she postponed it as she was a bit tired from all the screaming she had done earlier. Charlise, Raylene, and Kaia held cameras, and the three emerged from the dark area. The lights there were turned on, and not far away, Cereza stood near a monitor, overseeing Kyrie and Lucelyn's scene. The previously dark and horrifying setting quickly transformed with the appearance of many people. Even the ghosts, which had seemed terrifying before, appeared rather ordinary in the ample lighting. Most of them looked quite human, with only one or two resembling real ghosts. "Great job, everyone," Cereza exclaimed cheerfully, concluding the scene they had just filmed. Everyone continued to applaud for a few more seconds. "Well, it's done. I'm a bit tired," Kyrie murmured softly, and Raylene approached her, offering tissues and a towel. Kyrie's appearance was a bit disheveled after the last scene. "Here, take this. Your acting was fantastic." "Thanks," Kyrie replied as she accepted them. With Raylene's help, she stood up. Kyrie wiped away the sweat and dirt from her face, and Raylene also picked up Lucelyn and Kyrie's handycam. "Feeling tired?" Raylene asked, noticing that Kyrie was quite sweaty. Kyrie shook her head. "A little, but my heart was pounding, and my throat is a bit hoarse from all the screaming. That's how it is when you're in a horror film. It's different from a romance film, where there'd be lots of kissing." Raylene smiled slightly, making a joke to help her friend relax. In response to the remark, Kyrie gently nudged her friend's shoulder and smiled briefly. "Actually, in horror films with guys, there's usually kissing too. Just look at those popular Hollywood films." "Okay, discussion closed. Let's join the others." Raylene signaled with her hand, forming an X, and then nodded in the direction of Cereza, who was already surrounded by the cast and crew. "Okay," Kyrie nodded. So Raylene and Kyrie walked together towards Cereza, joining the others who had gathered around her. What had actually happened inside the creepy, empty house? They were there to film scenes for their horror movie project. With minimal equipment and crew members, they had turned the two-story house into the setting for the film they were working on. The previous scene had been a one-take shoot. This film project was their final assignment for their studies. There were several assignments that would determine their graduation and success in completing their education, and one of them was to create a short film with specific requirements. Unfortunately, due to limitations in the number of crew members, those with additional skills also had to participate in shooting scenes, operating cameras from different angles. Raylene, who was one of the scriptwriters along with Lucelyn, had to take on multiple roles. She held a camera to help with shooting, while Lucelyn played the lead role in the script she had written herself. Charlise, who was responsible for video editing and served as the project's leader, had to operate a camera for this particular scene, with the approval of Cereza and her own willingness. This scene needed to be filmed in multiple locations. As for Kaia, she was an expert in photography and videography. She had already discussed suitable shooting locations with Charlise. And Kyrie? She handled all the crew's logistics, provided essential supplies and equipment. In addition to being the logistics provider, she played the role of the producer, as she was the one who determined the team, locations, and other aspects. Of course, she also played the lead role in the short film. Valina was the last member of their group. She wasn't present for the filming process as she was out of town, taking care of some matters. In their group, Valina had expertise in animation and visual effects. Usually, Charlise collaborated with her when editing videos. To carry out this project, Kyrie had selected 5 girls majoring in makeup, cosmetics, and fashion, 5 juniors with the same majors as theirs. She wanted to add more people to act and increase the crew size, but time constraints and the busy schedules of all the students prevented her from doing so. The film was ultimately made with the available resources. So, with a team of fewer than 20 people, they embarked on making a short horror film. Everyone worked hard and tried to maximize their performance. Some of them even had dual roles. The makeup artists sometimes had to appear in scenes as ghosts, and the guys didn't just stick to their respective roles, they often had to perform various tasks. After completing the scene, it was time for everyone to take a break, especially since the night was getting late, and they needed rest to continue shooting. Everyone involved in the project looked relieved to have finished the scene after a long day of work. Two men entered the house through the double front doors. They were Dustin and Alaric. Alaric, who was a junior, was well acquainted with Kaia. Both shared the same hobby and skill in handling cameras. Each of them carried a large black camera. They were cameramen who had filmed Kyrie and Lucelyn while they were outside the house. People were bustling about, some were resting, and others were engaged in various activities. On the other side, two men were assisting Lucelyn in removing her safety gear. She hadn't actually been dragged directly. There was a thin cushion that protected her back and the rear part of her body, allowing her to slide along the floor. Xander and Evan were helping Lucelyn remove all the safety equipment. Earlier they, along with Ethan, had pulled Lucelyn using a rope. Due to the darkness and dim lighting, the rope and safety equipment were completely invisible, making it seem as though Lucelyn had been dragged by something unseen and then disappeared into the darkness. To be honest, even though we practiced, being dragged like that still made me nervous. Lucelyn said somewhat hoarsely, as she wasn't used to screaming loudly.
Even though practice was fun.
Xander replied with a light smile.
It's different when the real action starts. We have to be serious, right?
Evan chimed in.
It's rare for this senior lady to say something like that. She's usually the least serious one.
Xander teased. You guys is annoying. Lucelyn and the two men chatted lightly while working, occasionally sharing jokes. Meanwhile, Cereza, Kyrie, Charlise, Raylene, and Kaia had gathered around her. Only Lucelyn had not yet joined them. How did it turn out? Kyrie asked Cereza, who had been in charge of directing the scene from the beginning. She had been monitoring and watching their every move. Great acting. My ears hurt a bit. It seems you, sister, could shatter glass with your voice. Cereza replied, touching her right ear and referring to Kyrie's exceptionally loud and piercing scream. Kyrie simply laughed with her characteristic giggle. It was clearly a joke.